Yeah, people just don't want a heavy cruiser to be reviewed, but in the end we ended up here, thinking about if I should review Swifter or Helena, so was questioning my inner self if I should simp even more, or simply make a good guide to a good ship, so the choice was easy, obviously Helena, so Helena, show the people the real power of yours. I hope this showed the potential of Helena, and with that ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to a potato guide for Azur Lane. Featuring, what a surprise, Helena Retrofit. I was really considering doing Swifter, but then I thought, maybe I should actually do a ship guide that can help people in late game. And by late game I mean chapter 13, not 12. Let's compare these two chapters. Chapter 12 is like sailing with a boat in a lake, a chapter 13. Well, how could I explain that? I got something. It's like sailing with a boat in a lake and out of nowhere, you get attacked by sharks, then you see a huge tornado coming up and lastly you fall down a waterfall, because you didn't know it existed, but hey, at least the weather was nice. But anyway, let's not hear me complain about chapter 13. I already wasted too much time there, and want to delete the game because of that, but back to Helena. Helena was an American light cruiser from the Brooklyn class, being of the same class like St. Louis and Honolulu, that are known for their peak performance, at least in getting money. Helena was a pretty strong cruiser. When it came to firepower, she had 15 6-inch guns that also had great reload, to that she had nice speed of 33 knots, and also had a radar. One more thing that I will mention, that she was in the event where the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. That was the moment where the Americans decided to join the war and installed a SG radar on her. So this was the basic of her history. So what makes Helena so special that I even consider her for chapter 13? Simply said, her skills. But before that, how do we get Helena? She is pretty easy to get. You can either get her by gacha or by chapters. With that you already got a pretty strong ship. What makes her so strong is her skill. Radar scan. Giving ships a huge buff. But we Yosta wouldn't be Yosta if they didn't make a strong ship. Even more overpowered, but hey, Yosta know how to make the game even more fun. So we got first her firepower. Helena has a pretty good firepower, being one of the better damage dealing ships. You can compare her damage output to Cleveland's ones. Your efficiency on them is quite nice at 140%. To that you also got yourself a destroyer gun in the second slot. Since you lack torpedoes, the efficiency there isn't that great, but damage is damage. Next we have her survivability, that consists out of her HP and evasion. Helena in her base form is pretty fragile and eats a lot of damage. She only had a evasion of 73, which isn't bad, but not good either, since with that you pretty close to the edge of bad evasion cruisers. To that she had not the best HP, only having 3200 in her normal from. Her Retrofit boosts it up a little, up to around 3500 HP, but still pretty meh. She is not a tanky ship, so giving her in the middle of the fleet is a good choice, since with that she would receive the least amount of damage. Lastly, her anti-air. Helena has pretty strong AA, obviously not being able to compete with the Atlanta class, but still being able to perform good in battle. But anti-air isn't really that important, since you mostly only need it in chapter 13. And even that is a lie, since you really need air superiority to not get facked by the enemy. But well, this is a story for another video. With that we got her stats, and now let's check her skills. Helena is known for her unique perk, but since she got a retrofit you also got one more of that. So with that gathering in total 3 skills. The first one is Radar Scan Plus, the skill we all know. It has only a small difference to the original scan. But what does the skill do? Well, every 20 seconds you have a 60% chance to apply a debuff to all enemies on screen. They will take 40% more damage for 10 seconds. This is really strong if you time it perfectly with your backline, especially for the boss, with that making Helena perfect for boss fleets, but you might also consider her for mob fleets if you like. There is also one more gimmick about this skill, namely if you equip her SG radar your evasion will increase by 10%, not much, but you also get 4 seconds less to activate the skill, making the 20-second cooldown a 16-second one. This can be good or bad, but this mostly relies on your backline. For me it's better without the SG radar. So you just need to try it for yourself. The next skill is the Wonder of Killer Gulf. You will take less damage from torpedoes by 15%. To that your ship, that is Eagle Union in the backmost position, will receive a evasion boost of 12%, excluding Helena herself. This perk is a nice gimmick to Helena's main skill, but in the end this skill is nice to enhance the survivability of some weaker ships. For example, heavy cruisers for the Eagle Union. The last perk would be her all-out assault barrage. It fires every 10 times after your main battery gun triggers. The barrage is not the strongest one, but not every ship can have a great barrage. And with that we come to the equipment. Helena's equipment is pretty basic. You don't have much flavoring for her. Only on the auxiliary equipment you can really switch some stuff. For the main battery gun I would consider the triple 152mm Russian gun, one of the best guns in the game. Otherwise I would take the triple 155mm one. There is really not that much different between these two guns. One has better reload and less DMG per shells, and the same the other way around. Just take the gun you like, but the Russian one is slightly better. For her destroyer gun just take the French one and you will be fine. You can also consider between these two if you don't have the French one. Otherwise if you have no event gun just take the basic DD gun. For the AA guns you can choose a AA gun of your choice, since it mostly matters more what your other ships have. I myself use the twin 100mm high angled one. I like this gun the most, since it has a good balance between range, damage and DPS. Otherwise you can also take the twin 113mm, or for the ultimate DPS build the quadruple 40mm Bofors. And lastly the auxiliary equipment. This is more of a preference how you like to play her, and also your backline, and how you sync it with Helena's perk. For the first slot I recommend you a repair toolkit. Helena is still a light cruiser and really fragile. She hits damage like nobody else, and having more HP and a small heal is always nice. For the second slot you can either take a SG radar if you want more evasion from the perk and the SG radar itself, and to that get the 4-second reload, but I rather take the washing machine, also known as hydraulic steering gear. With that we got the equipment for Helena. The only thing that is left for me is to finish clearing the last 2 maps of chapter 13 to end my suffering in this game. I really hope this will be it for maps in Azur Lane. Yeah, time to end my existence. See you potatoes in the next video.